everyone in this YouTube world. Today, we're gonna be covering one of Disney Channel's probably most iconic sitcoms, Wizards of Waverly Place. So I pretty much just finished watching the magical beginning of the Russo family story, and that's pretty much what the first season is about. If I'm gonna be honest, this was the first time I actually got to sit down and watch these earlier episodes. I wasn't allowed to watch this series whenever I was growing up, so this actually gave me the chance to be able to relive some childhood moments and kind of experience the beginning of this series for the first time. Pretty much, we're kind of just thrown into the Russo family. We don't really get a pilot, and I kind of wish they went with a kind of a more introductory to the whole Russos having magic and all that. It would have been interesting if we could have seen the moment where Alex, Justin, and Max got their powers. I just think that would be a really cool and iconic moment for us to start the series on, and then we can get on with the magical adventures. The first episode is called The Crazy 10-Minute Sale, and that's pretty much what the episode is about. It's about Alex literally just wanting to get out of her wizard lesson so she can go to this crazy 10-minute sale. So I guess she can like prove something to the popular girl, I guess so. Honestly, whenever people talk about top tier Disney Channel, Wizards of Waverly Place is what they're talking about. The humor is just off the charts. It is very self-aware of what it is, but it does it in a way to where it makes it funny for the general audience, being the Disney Channel family pretty much. I don't know why every Disney Channel show needed like a Mean Girls group, because Wizards started having that. I'm thankful they didn't really extend that until later on into the series, because it kind of got old. I mean, we already had that with Raven, Miley Stewart, that plot thread where there's just a trio of bullies that are mean girls and we're just gonna play on that trope. It's getting old. I love Harper. Harper is an underrated Disney Channel queen. She deserves everything in this world. The best part of this show is the Russo family. I think they perfectly casted each character to fit what each character was. And we love the sales lady at the crazy 10-minute sale. She was doing her job. She was off the charts. And this is not the only time we actually get to see that person. I don't know if they've ever clarified if it's the same person, but it's the same actress. They end up reoccurring later on in the season. It's already very self-aware of itself, even with this first episode, because there's commentary on the fact that they're literally just going through normal family circumstances, but they have to do it on a level that they're wizards. So I think just turning that whole plot on the whole sitcom format is really funny. And okay, now like talking about the episode with the pocket elves, it just seems weird that there being a whole pocket elf that you can just essentially order and have help you with whatever you want. I just feel like that's just not a good idea to start with. Like, that's just a bad idea. Harper's outfits were always off the charts. I mean, even in the first season, I mean, they weren't as great as what they were in the later seasons, but they still were iconic. There's a lot of moments in these first episodes where Justin and Alex are just outwardly doing wizard things in the hallway at their school. For an example, in this pocket elf episode, Alex is literally talking to the Spanish pocket elf. What's that? A hat? Crazy, funky, junky. We've been there, we've done that, we see right through your funky hat. Harper having a sandwich themed outfit for her interview for the Waverly sub shop is just iconic. I love Harper's outfits. Harper is a style icon. We must protect Harper at all costs. There were so many times where Harper's safety was in danger because of Alex Russo. Was there ever a moment where it was like, maybe I shouldn't be friends with mortals because I have the possibility of becoming one of the most powerful wizards in the entire universe? But we love Harper. The commentary on new jobs, especially when Harper asked how much coffee you pour onto the literal like coffee cake, I feel like that's just a really funny commentary. Teresa Russo is a underrated Disney Channel mother. She was always there and supportive of her kids. She always tried to do something that incorporated herself into through their life without trying to push it. Even though like it definitely came across that she was pushing it, she wasn't intending on that. I like how we are focused more on the dynamics between each family member in the first season, because we really get to see what these characters mean to one another. And with that being said, Selena Gomez definitely struts her way across the Wizards of Waverly Place set. Like, she is giving this role 110% all the time. Now I'm on the episode where they have the kid from Spy Kids, the guy who played Junie Cortez. I literally can't remember his name. It's the guy who plays Junie Cortez from Spy Kids, but now he's married and has a kid with Meghan Trainor, and they're doing a whole series of TikToks. Yes, you should definitely go check it out. I like how we are introduced to another wizard posing as a mortal at Alex and Justin's school, because I feel like that would be a very interesting arc, and I like how we touched on this subject numerous times in the series, but I feel like they really did it well in this episode, and I kind of wish that they brought this character back for more episodes, because I feel like that he had a somewhat of an influence on Alex and the family, and he really switched up the dynamics of the characters, because now Alex was in control whenever they put both of their families under the charm, and then they figured out that that was toxic and that wasn't correct. And it's also kind of really dark if you think about it, whenever you're trying to control your parents and their opinions about anything and everything. I also remember him from the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween. Whenever Alex tries to prove to the Spy Kids guy that she's a wizard, you can definitely see the foot prop they used. She's like, oh yeah, my hand is a foot. Jerry Russo be hidden different. And also, I would like to note the trippy transitions where they have the Russo family in front of a green screen and there's like trippy warping backgrounds. It's just really cool, and I think that's a really iconic piece of the series that I'm happy they stuck with for the remainder of the series. This whole entire video is just gonna be me gushing about Jerry and Teresa Russo. Whenever Jerry went on the catwalk and started modeling, I was dying. You guys just need to see it. Walking down, doing flash, 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 nails, lips, hips, heels. I like arms when they flex. Girl, I don't dance, I work. Okay. Why did they always yell about magic in school? Because I feel like there were just so many moments where the conversation between Alex and Justin was just a little bit too loud, because any normal person walking by them could hear it. And now that I think back to high school, I really wasn't paying attention to what people were saying around me. Moving on, I love how there's a whole episode dedicated to the concept of Jerry teaching Alex how to ride a magic carpet, but it plays the tropes of the natural, like, father teaching the daughter how to drive in sitcoms. Like, we've seen it on Full House. I think there was an episode of Hannah Montana where they talked about it too. Literally Mr. Mosby teaching London how to drive. There's so many examples that Disney Channel did, but it's interesting that they put the whole flying carpet trope on it. The way my mouth dropped in this episode where Alex literally revealed she was a wizard to this tea party and it's just never talked about again. What is up with that? I know the show is so outdated. It's unfair for me to critique the green screen effects, but whenever they were swinging around on the chandelier, and I kid you not, there's a moment where they have a shot where a waitress, Alex and Harper are swinging on the chandelier, and it is not great visual effects. Like, it's decent enough for Disney Channel at the time, but now looking at it, it does not look good. It does not look good. And at this point, you can definitely sort of see a definite episode structure. It usually involves a wizard's lesson at the beginning where Jerry is teaching Alex, Justin, and Max just a certain aspect of magic or the wizard world. What does Alex do? She uses that sort of lesson to her advantage, and then whenever that gets her in trouble, she usually asks Justin for help, and sometimes that backfires because sometimes Justin, he wants to try to reciprocate, to try to prove something that that he's gonna be better than Alex. And that's just like a common thing with each episode, but at the end of the day, they end up making things work out. Alex is like, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry, Justin. I promise I'll do better next time. And then literally the next week, there's literally another issue that happens. But I love the dog dragon. The dog dragon is so cute. Where did the dog dragon go? Because we had a whole episode dedicated to dragon, and you're telling me my heartstrings were not on high water whenever I thought that the dragon was gonna get taken away. Like, I felt that trauma, Justin. Yeah, maybe I need therapy. So when Zeke finally showed up, but wait, was it Zeke? The guy who played Zeke showed up originally in the first season as a different character. I'm going to address the elephant in the room about this actor. I've seen the Twitter. Okay, now we're gonna get to when the Wizards, or I should say Disney Channel, has their little Hogwarts moment. So there's this essentially like summer like class period where Justin and Alex are going to this boarding school. There's this evil teacher that's trying to see who is the best or most intelligent wizard at this school so she can strip all their powers. And back in New York City, pretty much the only thing that is happening is Jerry and Max are trying to prove a point that they can start doing activities together and like they can camp and all that. And then there's like other plots about advertising outside of the restaurant, and there's fights with other businesses and yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, everything turns out great. The Wizards go home, everything's cool, fine and dandy. I love how the WizTech double part episode, that was kind of our first glimpse of when they are taking the Wizards of Waverly Place characters out of their element, because they really didn't do that a lot in the first season. We saw a lot of the elements of the wizard world exist in the New York City subway setting and school of the mortal world. But in the WizTech episode, we got to see parts of the wizard world. And then as we go more into the series, we actually get to see a lot more of the wizard's world at play. And I think it works a lot, and it provides a lot more strength and lore to this iconic series. Harper would have been a great student at WizTech. I wonder if Harper tapped into any sort of magic through her interactions with the Russo family, because she was really close with that family. And there's just some situations in the series where I feel like she really had to tap into some magic somewhere. And I feel like she in herself is a magical being, and I wish we kind of tapped into that a little bit more. That would have been an interesting plot line to go through. And they really are risking the revelation of magic throughout each episode, and that kind of annoys me because it is so careless and there's just no responsibility or any rules that are really in place. Things just kind of happen chaotically, and then it's like, oh, don't do that again, and then we just move on to another scenario where we're literally caught in the same exact sort of situation. We really touch on the dynamics between each character. We really look at the relationship between the dad and Alex, and the mom and the kids, and Justin and Alex, and then Justin and Max, and just kind of how the siblings relationship works, how the parents relationship works, how Alex and Harper's relationship works. We get to really see those relationships develop, and I really am appreciative of the season, and that we really get to see that groundwork that will develop and really make the show a lot better when we dive more into the lore of it. Lucy Hale's incorporation into the show, I just felt like she fit into the show, and I really liked the character that she played because she was a different sort of character for Justin to date. I feel like Lucy Hale did it so well, and I really wish we got to see her more in the show. But Lucy Hale did move on to become one of the Pretty Little Liars. The entire first season really is just a flip on common sitcom tropes, kind of what I was talking about earlier. We have a whole episode dedicated to getting a dog. We have a whole episode about learning how to drive pretty much with a flying carpet. All these different types of episodes. Another big critique I have with this season is we never really got a pilot episode. I kind of wish we were introduced to the whole aspect of how they got the powers and the moment where they start practicing their magic, and then Jerry's like, now remember, you have to be responsible for it. And then we kind of get the aspect of, oh, so they're learning these different aspects of magic. They'll be able to compete, and then one will become Victorious and the Family Wizard. Yes, I kind of wish we got that, but we did end up getting that understanding throughout the show. They just completely forgot that Alex blatantly said she was a wizard in front of a tea party. I'm sorry, we have to address that because that is so bonkers and out there, and it's also like, where is the ramifications for that? There isn't any. So I also noticed something that I really wanted to note in my other videos, but Disney Channel did the thing way back in the day. It's a common thing that they do, but if you've ever noticed that a lot of Disney Channel leads, they get their start on Disney Channel by guest starring on other shows before they get their own series. And that is prevalent in this first season because we have Tiffany Thornton, who would go on to play Tawny on Sunny with a Chance. And then we also have Chelsea Kane, who would go on to star as the leading love interest for Joe Jonas on the Jonas TV show. And you know, I kind of wish there were more plot threads this season, but they really add that to the second season, and later on into the show, they really up the antics and take the wizards out of their elements, and we kind of get to see more of the lore of this universe. There's so much more to talk about with the Wizards universe, and I actually have an idea of what they could do if they ever wanted to do a reboot, revival, spin-off, sequel series, whatever you want to call it. But that is all I have to say about Wizards of Waverly Place Season 1. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like this YouTube video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at TyTyWhitehead, and I will see you all in another video. Everything is not what it seems.